So today I wanted to answer a question from one of you guys about the Packers and their future outlook, what I'm thinking right now. But here's a question from that one fat guy, 9043. Obviously, we are not contenders this year, but do you feel progress has been made with our key future players to give you a positive outlook on next season? Yeah, so right now, 2-3. Not really looking like contenders. This past game, we looked like one of the worst teams in the NFL. And the hope is, obviously, for all of us Packers fans, that this team can somehow turn around, that we can just at least see some positive signs from this offense, not have to wait, 2 quarters until the offense puts up some points. Can they find a way to get going early in games? Those are all lots of the questions lots of us are having right now. But really, when you think about next season, looking at 2024, you would assume that as this season progresses, considering we are one of the youngest teams in the NFL, if not the youngest team in the NFL, you'd assume that as these young players develop and grow and get better, learn the offense, don't make as many mental mistakes, that this would be a better team in 2024. And with Rodgers gone, Brian Gutekunst knew that he was building a new kind of team, a new offense. You let lots of your veteran players go. You allow, the guys like Luke Musgrave at tight end, Tucker Kraft, mainly Luke Musgrave, to take over at tight end. You lose out on, some better maybe run blockers and Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis. Brian Gutekunst for 2023 wanted to get lots of these young players the snaps to grow and develop at a quicker pace. And so that's why I think we've seen lots of ups and downs, is because of just how young this team is. And before the season, I was hopeful that they could somehow get it together quickly. Just as the fan in me, wanting them to figure it out as quickly as possible. You can never say never. You never know how quickly things can turn around. But so far, this has looked like the youngest team in the NFL. And as time goes by, as the season progresses, we should see this team continue to improve as the year goes by. And, looking at 2024, lots of this comes down to Jordan Love, of course. How your QB goes is sort of how your team typically goes. Of course, you have some of those teams where their defense carries them. The Jets right now are being carried by their defense, and their offense is not playing well. And so far with Jordan Love, we've seen him play well the first couple games. The past few games has not played well. And, I know he has that talent. He has that ability. He can push the ball deep. He can run around. He can escape the pocket. And the thing I just want to see is consistency. See if he can continue to make better decisions, because he was making mostly good decisions the first couple weeks. The past couple weeks has been throwing a lot more interceptions. And, for a guy who's only started 5 games this season, still only started 5 or 6 games in his career, you have to give him time. And I think with Jordan Love, we just need to give him more time. That's really just what it is. I don't think you can make really a proclamation about what the future is going to be like until we continue to see how Jordan Love grows and improves. And I think that it's really easy to try to, move off a quarterback pretty early just because they're not playing well. But there's so many instances of quarterbacks who take time to develop and grow and become, top-tier quarterbacks. Like Peyton Manning threw more interceptions than touchdowns his first year. Brett Favre in his second season threw 19 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. And so I just think that you have to hope that Jordan Love can figure things out. And the thing that I'm most concerned with Jordan Love, which I hope he can improve, is his accuracy, because right now he's one of the worst completion percentages in the NFL. He's struggling with his deep balls, one of the worst when it comes to completion percentage on his deep balls. And for this Packers team, most of it comes down to Jordan Love, and can he take that next step and improve going forward. And I think when you look at this offense, just how young these guys are, they barely have any reps together. They're young players like Luke Musgrave, Jaden Reed. These are guys who are in this offense playing a majority of the snaps, or a lot of snaps, and they've barely been in the NFL. And so you're going to see these miscues and mistakes like we saw from Luke Musgrave last week. You could see a clear camera angle of Matt LaFleur digging into him. Clearly he did something wrong. And so I assume lots of those issues are happening with this offense. And so while, yes, Jordan Love has made some poor mistakes, there has to be some mistakes going on with the tight ends and young receivers making mental mistakes that get fixed as you are in the system more, as you have more and more time in the NFL. And so you also have the fact that Christian Watson's been injured, supposed to be the number 1 guy, has barely had time to gel with Love and really get this offense going as we need it to. Romeo Doubs has played pretty well, but also too, Aaron Jones hasn't played. So when you have some of your top tier guys not playing, you haven't really been able to get into a flow or really build that chemistry with the unit you want to have out there. And so there's been so many different things that have led to the Packers struggling so far. And I do think this team will get better as we move into next season because they'll get more snaps and be better overall. But still, lots of it does come down to Jordan Love. And if he ends up, improving as the season goes by, improving his decision-making, and these young receivers can get better, then of course we'll be better in 2024. We'll have potentially some money to go out and sign some other free agents to bolster this unit. Use some more draft picks next season with some of those, with that second-round additional pick we got from the New York Jets. But when we look at the defense, though, that is an area where, sure, we have some youth there, like Devontae Wyatt, who I think has played better as a pass rusher, maybe not quite as good against the run in his second year. We have lots of more veterans on that side of the ball where I thought that, they should have higher expectations for this season. Obviously, you want both sides to have expectations, but this is a unit with Jair Alexander, one of the best corners in the league, Rashawn Gary, one of the best edge rushers in the league. You got Kenny Clark, solid interior guy, Preston Smith on the outside, Rasul Douglas. You have so many pieces, and that's the group where I'm sort of more worried about going forward, only because I think when you look at this defense, I do think they have the talent to be better than they're playing, and I think that does come down to Joe Barry, who just has struggled to find that consistent success. And he plays, they've played fine against lower tier units, top tier units, not as good. And so I think that to really see this defense take a step forward going into the end of this season, 2024, I think we need to make a move at defensive coordinator. I think that's the solution over there. And also to, maybe this offseason bolster the defensive line with some more, big guys who can stop the run. But those are sort of my thoughts going forward. Who knows what the future holds? Right now, it's still pretty uncertain just with all the youth here. And I think it makes sense that we've seen some ups and some downs just with the amount of youth and the inexperience we have on this Packers roster. But those are pretty much my thoughts. Thank you for you who asked that question. I appreciate it. But if you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe, and I'll be out with more content later this week.